Hey everyone, JL here, and welcome back to Bridge the Divide, where I examine irrational beliefs, the irrational behaviors that follow, and how we, with education, reason, and rationality, can bridge the societal divides that they create. You all remember this guy, right? He's a YouTuber who goes by the name A Bit of Orange, and besides being the odd one out at the steampunk orgy, many of you may remember when I debated against him on creationism and evolution on Agree to Disagree. During that debate, Orange Boy pretty much demonstrated his lack of understanding of both evolution and abiogenesis. Honestly, I thought I was done with this cyberpunk Diet Coke, but then I came across a video of his where he claims he can prove the existence of God. And in 10 easy steps, no less.
And how did you do that, my son?
Yes, I know what you're thinking, but in the charitable spirit of intellectual honesty, and to have a laugh at his expense, I decided to give his video a watch. So let's dive in and see if we should be getting Orange's Nobel Prize ready, or if once again he just doesn't understand what he's talking about.
Here's how to prove that God exists in 10 easy steps. Step 1. An infinite regress is impossible. Thus, the universe cannot have an infinite past.
Incorrect. Really, really incorrect. Okay, there are two major issues here with what this reject from the Magic Factory is asserting. The first is the impossibility of an infinite regress. What the bearded ungula is basing this statement on is a mathematical paradox first addressed by the Greek philosopher Zeno of Elea. The problem is called Zeno's arrow, and it's best analogized by this example. A man fires an arrow at a target. Before the arrow strikes the target, it must first cross half the distance to the target, then half again, and again, and again ad infinitum. So we see that the arrow has to accomplish an infinite number of tasks before it can cross the finite space between the bow and the target. And yet, we can directly observe it does indeed hit the target. You see, what our little theist here doesn't understand is that Zeno's arrow is a trick in making you think about space, time, and motion in completely the wrong way. And the solution to this is understanding that there is more than one type of infinite. Take this number sequence. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 and so on. This infinite series is what is called a divergent series, meaning that the infinite sequence of the partial sums of the series does not have a finite limit. And of course, if this held true for the universe, then the arrival point would never actually arrive. However, consider the sequence 1/2 plus 1/4 plus 1/8 plus 1/16, and so on. This is what is called a convergent series, meaning the sequence of its partial sums tends to a limit. And convergent infinite series explain countless things that we observe in the universe, not just an arrow hitting a target. Any distance, time, or force that exists in the world can be broken into an infinite number of pieces, but centuries of physics and engineering have shown us that these series can be treated as finite. And there is even a formula devised and perfected by Isaac Newton and Augustin Louis Cauchy for determining exactly which version a series is. I've linked it below for reference. So yes, an infinite regress is possible. The second issue is with Orange's own reasoning. He asserts that the universe is not eternal, but that God is. By his own lights, God existed infinitely into the past before the moment of creation, which means this nega-logic's first statement in this entire video is in direct contradiction with what he believes about God. And the only way to get out of that problem would require special pleading. So, I guess that's it. Since his entire argument was predicated on the truth of the first statement and I debunked that, the whole thing falls apart. Alright, well, thanks for watching. Be safe, be excellent to each other, and I'll see you next time. Hey, it's JL.
Hey, it's me.
Hey, what's up, Johnny?
What the hell was that?
Yeah, that's it.
Wasn't there more in that video?
I mean, well, there's 9 more points, but they're all built up on the first one.
So?
I debunked the first one, so the rest of it falls apart.
You know damn well taking only 1 point down is just being lazy. This isn't another one of your stupid shorts.
Oh, come on, it was more than that. I even exposed the break in his epistemology regarding God and science.
You know you can get more out of that video.
Okay, yeah, we can still laugh at the rest of his points, I guess.
Alright, get back to work.
Alright. Jeez. Cue the next vid.
2. If the universe cannot have an infinite past, it has a finite past.
So we've already established that refuting point number 1 actually refutes point number 2 as well. But for the sake of argument, let's try and dig through the mottled rind of what Orange is claiming. The observable universe does have a finite age, as concluded by the lambda CDM concordance model. The approximate age of the universe using physical cosmology is 13.8 billion years old, or the amount of time that has elapsed since the Big Bang. However, this is only the age of the observable universe, what we can see and measure. This model makes no assertions or references to things that are potentially beyond empirical horizons. And according to Alan Guth's theory of cosmic inflation, the actual universe could be upwards of 150 sextillion times larger than the observable universe. Asserting that you know what is out there beyond what we can observe and measure is just baseless speculation.
3. If the universe has a finite past, it has a beginning.
Because the observable universe does have a finite past, it can be said that there is an origin point for the observability of the universe. This point is what we call the Big Bang. It most often represents the point in history where the observable universe can be verified to have entered into a regime where the laws of physics as we understand them work. However, Orange is assuming that the Big Bang, the furthest point that we can observe, is the start. There are many hypotheses as to what happened before the Big Bang, but he has no evidence to justify any of his assertions.
4. Anything that begins to exist has a cause.
In agreement with many other professional physicists, I object to the term cause here. The reason is, cause implies agency. If we consider a hydrogen atom resulting from the aftermath of the Big Bang, we wouldn't say it was caused by the Big Bang. This point here is where Orange begins to subtly smuggle his God into his premises. But even without that, Orange here is asserting that something must have caused the Big Bang. This is, of course, another baseless assumption. We have no way of knowing what, if anything, because we are empirically separated from before the Planck epoch.
5. Nothing can be its own cause.
Once again, there are two issues here. The first is a baseless assertion about states before the Big Bang, and the second one is a problem of internal consistency. This fifth statement is actually a reference back to Thomas Aquinas and his first way argument. In it, the patron saint of atrocious haircuts refers to God as the first mover. It's a little strange, but what Aquinas was essentially doing here was equating movement and change, that a movement from state to state is a form of change. He argued that any change in state of the universe could not be initiated by the universe itself. The issue here is that Aquinas was a man of faith and possessed a 13th century level of understanding of the universe. All he was really doing was making assumptions about the grander states of the universe based upon the things he saw around him. And Orange is just following in those unjustified footsteps. The second issue is that Orange is being internally inconsistent here, and that is because he doesn't really understand what space-time is. Orange's definition of God is that God exists eternally, or for all time. And the universe, by definition, encompasses all time in the form of space-time. Where there is time, there is space, and vice versa. The two are locked. Now, by his argument, that which caused the universe must be outside the universe, meaning it would have to be outside of space-time, or what we call atemporal, meaning no time. And if that thing is God, how can God exist eternally for no time? This would mean that God can occupy logically contradictory states simultaneously. This is the very definition of a logical contradiction. And since logical contradictions can't exist...
6. To explain nature, therefore, requires a cause outside of or above nature.
I remember when Kyle Butt brought up this exact same point. The wording here is different, worse, but the intention is the same, to mislead. Explaining nature is what science does, and it's been doing it for thousands of years, slowly but surely pushing God closer and closer to the edge of the board. So no, explaining nature does not require a cause above, about, behind, below, beneath, or any other proposition you want to use. This statement is completely unsubstantive and designed only to smuggle God into the equation. In the words of PhD Tony,
"You're wrong!"
7. Thus, the cause of the universe, nature, is supernatural.
Yeah, no. This is just an extension of the sixth point. It has not been established that the universe has a cause. It's just another baseless assertion with no evidence to justify. And for all its romance, supernatural is really just a blanket term used to describe phenomena that cannot readily be explained with what we understand about nature. If we could explain it, it would of course be included in the natural. And of course the deception continues. I'm sure you all notice how he slyly inserted nature in parentheses next to universe. This is actually a psychological trick called anchoring, and it's used by con artists and corporations and mass media every single day. Orange visually represents two concepts in such a way that they could be suggested as being equivalent when they actually aren't. That suggestion allows him to slip a false equivalency by the viewer because he's already primed them to think about the two concepts through the lens of being equivalent. To his credit, he did state openly in the description that he would be using the terms cosmos, nature, and universe interchangeably. So, at least he's being open and honest about his deception.
8. The universe is space, time, energy, and matter.
There are some vernacular issues here. Technically, it should be space-time, as the two are not separate. Some physicists would add the term information here to reference all of the information contained within the physical system, but that's a video for Clive Wells or PhD Tony to explain further.
9. Thus, since nothing can cause itself, the cause of the universe must be spaceless, timeless, immaterial, and transcendently powerful.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong.
This entire statement is just garbage. Because, as we discussed, Orange just doesn't get physics. Spaceless and timeless are just asserting the same thing because one directly implies the other. He does the same thing with transcendental and immaterial. They're synonymous, both meaning non-physical. His descriptor transcendentally powerful is literally nonsensical. So, Orange, please explain mechanistically how something that exists for no time and in no material state is capable of any kind of work.
And step 10. Since the cause of the universe must be a spaceless, timeless, immaterial, and transcendently powerful supernatural cause, the cause of the universe is the God of the Bible. Only he fits the description of what is logically necessary to explain the universe.
And God of the Gaps confirmed. As I thought, we ended up right where I expected. Arguments from ignorance and arguments from incredulity. And it's all justified by an emotional appeal. It's only true because he wants it to be true, not because it corresponds with reality. So, in the end, his entire video is just baseless assumptions. It's the .com bubble. It's Fire Festival. It's vaporware. And the sooner we can recognize this and embrace it as a society, the sooner we can then take the strides necessary to ensure that such unfounded, fear-based emotional appeals no longer factor into our societal decision-making. From the classroom all the way to the Supreme Court. And that will conclude this takedown of A Bit of Orange's 10 Steps to Proving God. Thank you all so much for joining me. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and be sure to hit that bell for notifications. Oh, and if you like scary movies, be sure to check out me and my filmmaker friends over at the Week in Horror podcast, now in our 3rd season. All of the links you need to support this channel and the podcast are in the description below. Thank you again. I'm JL, and as usual, be safe, be excellent to each other, and together, we can bridge the divide. Oh, and I'd like to personally thank Irish Demon, the remaining beardsman, for his contribution to this video.
What? What?